It's gonna be good, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be better, I can't wait. Making my move, live for the day, sing like a bird, fly like a plane. Come spin with me, Jenny D.
Hello, my beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me with another episode of Spill With Me, Jenny D. I am so excited. Before I introduce my guest, I want to thank my Spotlight supporter for May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I have Mangine and Conto's law firm. Thank you so much for being my Spotlight supporter. And I am so excited. So, I am a big football fan. I have a son that plays football, well, and actually is at Villanova, and he's a quarterback. And we have this wonderful family that live around us in the South Hills. And I was so interested because I was like, wait, you work for the Steelers? I'm like, tell me more. And Casey and I have been friends for, I don't know, a year or so. Yeah. How did we even meet? Casey, before we get into that, introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers. Tell us who you are, where you're from. And
I'm Casey Weidl. I'm from Mount Lebanon originally, in 2005. Been in the league now for 15 years. You know, we moved to Peters. I was with the Philadelphia Eagles till 2022, and came over here to when I joined the Pittsburgh Steelers when Omar Khan became the general manager. Came over here, and how we kind of met was
I can't remember now.
It was kind of mutual things. Your husband was talking to a few people at the gym, and they introduced me and said Nolan was getting recruited, and I went to watch a game in junior year, and I was like, how is this kid not highly recruited yet? And just kind of helped get the wheels rolling a little bit. I knew my older brother, Andy White, was our assistant GM for the Steelers. He had a relationship with Ferrante because he played at Villanova. Yes. So kind of I helped get the ball rolling with connecting and, a couple other teams too, but it ended up just Ferrante ended up connecting well. And now look, Nolan's at Villanova now.
He's there. And it's so weird because a lot of times, I didn't know it. My other son played baseball, so I didn't know anything about football. But, a lot, like Villanova is not the type of school that recruits and hands out offers like a lot of the other schools. Yep. And being a quarterback, they only take one. So it was really hard for Nolan to try to find a school that fit him in every way. And Villanova, being Catholic. Yep. He is, he's really into his faith. So that really worked out great.
That's my biggest advice when I talk to kids about recruiting is, you got to do what's best for you. Because there's going to be many options. Nolan had many offers and could have went. But you know what? I told him at the end of the day, you need to find a coaching staff that you're comfortable with, a school you're going to like, a great education, which Villanova checks the boxes on all those. And the fact that the place you're going to win, to me, right. If you're going to play and you're going to put the time in, you want to win too. And I feel like that's a winning program. And I think he's the type of competitor. After watching for the past 2 years, I was like, he's the type of competitor that's going to go there to Villanova. Yes. He's going to thrive. And especially knowing that coaching staff, as a mother, you want to send your kid to a place that that you trust the staff that's going to develop him as a man too. Right. And so I felt like that was just a great place. And it's just like, I truly believe God connects you with the right people. And the fact that we connected was really cool because, I got 3 little girls and we loved coming to the games. And it was fun
cute.
Seeing Nolan develop. And
thank you. Yeah. And you know what, Casey, you are such a role model for, for him and for all the other young athletes here in our township. We just appreciate everything you do. But let's talk about you, because this is what this is all about. So tell me, okay, growing up, did you guys all play football, or were you just a football family?
Yeah, so in Mount Lebanon, we were, there was 4 boys in our family. So
your poor mother.
We actually had the same homeroom teacher for 16 years straight at Mount Lebanon High School.
Oh my gosh.
So she retired when I left because you keep the same homeroom teacher throughout high school. So, we went, my oldest brother, Andy, who's assistant GM for the Steelers, he went to Villanova. And then my brother, Brennan.
What position did he play there?
He was offensive line.
Okay, offensive line.
He was an offensive lineman. And then my brother, Brennan, went to Westminster.
That's where I went.
Yeah, he was going to play. He ended up not
Titans.
playing the Titans. And then my other brother, Kevin, he won the Whitfield Championship as a quarterback. last that he was actually the last team to play at Three River Stadium.
No way.
He was a quarterback from Mount Lebanon in 2000. They beat Steve Breston, who played in the NFL for a long time. It was Steve Breston's only loss in high school.
Oh my
for
gosh.
Woodland Hills. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Then I played, and I went to Indiana University.
Which position did you play?
I was a tight end.
Tight end,
So,
nice.
yeah.
So your family just lived and lived,
Yeah.
and you guys were big Steeler fans.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool because that's how Andy first got in 1996. He got an internship with Tom Donahue. Actually, still lives in Peters Township here.
Yeah.
So he
And
was the
who
general
he?
manager.
He's the general manager.
He was the general manager at the
Okay.
time. Then he went to the Bills after that. So.
Oh wow! See, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be learning so much from Casey. I was telling him off air that I used to do sports on the radio station, AM, of course, and I had no idea what I was saying. But now having the sons, having
Right.
my daughter and my sons, I'm learning. But it's I don't know. Sometimes for women, it's harder to comprehend.
Right.
But let's get into talking about how did you know? And you're in Indiana. How did you know you wanted to do something in football?
So, when I got to Indiana, I wanted to keep myself some options. My brother Andy at the time was working for the New Orleans Saints as an
Okay.
area scout. I knew I loved football and I knew I wanted to be involved, but I was too small. I could have played smaller school, Division III, but I decided I want to go to a bigger school. So I went and I volunteered for the football team as a student manager, student equipment manager. So we set up practice, help get jerseys and stuff set for game day, all that stuff. We were the ball boys during the games, travel with the team. Just wanted to do that, and I got my accounting degree at the same time. So, in case one didn't work, I knew the other. But
Right.
it's good though because you learn the long hours and you just realize, and to me it just didn't feel like working. So I was
Yes, because you loved it so much.
right. I felt like I have to find a way to get in here. So
Yes. And then so Andy's older than you.
yeah. And so my our assistant GM, he's 12 years older than me. So
Okay.
basically, when he went off to college, he was 18 years old and I was 6. So
Oh wow.
we knew each other,
Yeah.
but we didn't. So then we first started working. Joe Douglas brought us together at the Philadelphia Eagles, and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool because our kids are close, and
Yes.
it's really nice to work with them because you care for each other too.
Right.
But
And when you work for a football organization, you have to move around a lot, huh?
yeah, you do. We're not as bad as the coaching staff. We don't move as much, but
That's true.
there is you go as opportunities come,
Yes.
and to me, it was just very lucky that Omar Khan brought me back. Bring the grandkids back to the parents because
Yes.
they're still around here. So,
So everybody's here in
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
is
it's nice.
So tell us, what is your position? What is your job? You're scouting.
So I'm the scouting coordinator.
Coordinator.
Almost I would consider myself almost like a air traffic control. I would describe it as.
Okay.
So there's two sides to scouting. There's a college side and there's a pro side.
Oh, really?
So-
See, I'm learning here.
College side is basically anybody that was in the NFL draft coming here or next year.
Okay.
Those guys are considered college. As soon as the draft ends, so Fernando Mendoza was a college scout. Our college scouts watched him all year.
Yes.
Now they got drafted first overall to the Raiders. Now he's a pro guy. So our guys will watch him and all the other guys, and when they become free agents, we'll put grades on them all
Oh
throughout
my
and all that
gosh.
stuff. And so my job is to
That's
basically to make sure that we're scouting the right players. So we'll start in for this next draft class. We'll start here in the next couple of weeks. We'll go down to Florida for Blesto meetings, and we'll meet and we'll kind of map out okay, we need to go to Ohio State. We need to have 3 scouts go to Ohio State. We need 3 scouts to go to Penn State.
So you have a lot of scouts. You're not the
Yes.
only one.
Yeah. So we have 17 scouts all around the country.
Oh my gosh.
So we have a guy that lives in Washington. We have a guy that lives in Arizona. We have a guy that lives in
Wow.
Texas. Scout that lives in Florida. A couple here from Pittsburgh. So yeah, there's scouts all around the country.
That's
so,
crazy. So
yeah.
you travel a lot.
I personally don't, but they travel a lot.
Okay.
So I'm like the house. They call me a house cat basically. So I'm there to help out the GM and things kind of filter through me, and I'll help out and say okay, hey, there's a guy at Villanova this year. There's a tight end at Villanova. We have 1 scout go through there, but we need to get a second scout because this guy's pretty good.
So you just keep watching them. And
Yeah,
watching
just
them.
kind of, and then guys pop up coming into senior year, Joe Burrow didn't play as much.
Right.
And then he became, obviously LSU, you're always going to go and have multiple scouts there, but,
Right. That's the one thing. Yeah, like, I didn't know this when Nolan was looking at schools. Miami of Ohio actually was his first offer. But I didn't know Roethlisberger he played he didn't play that much in high school. I think he played his senior year in high school.
Yeah.
So nobody really knew about him that much,
Right.
but he went to Miami of Ohio.
Right.
And he really thrived there. Did he start? I can't remember now.
He did.
Started.
He did. His last couple of years. You know what? We always talk about in scouting, like, these guys come from everywhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of some of my advice to Nolan too. And I was like, don't worry about if it's, if you play and you hit your ceiling. I was like, people are gonna notice you.
Yeah. Right.
So.
And it's it's one of those things where I learned too is you have to love it. You have to love what you do. If you're working behind the scenes, if you're working on the field, but whatever you're doing, when you're in some type of something like that, an organization, you have to work it. You're actually working as a team. And I think that's what he loved the most is a team aspect about it, because it's not one person. It's not like baseball.
Yep.
Not that baseball. The analogy of baseball is not really, it is a team, but you're kind of like have your own stats. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, it's funny you say that, because we always talk about we're trying to build a team. We're not just collecting talent. We're building a team.
Right.
And it's funny, being able to watch that Peters team all year. Those guys truly care for each other, like on and off the field. Like you could just feel that vibe. Like, I remember going, I think it was the Moon game. There was just a couple turnovers, and it was 10-0 in the third quarter, and I was like, I looked at my wife and I was like, just wait, they're gonna find a way, and they turned it on. They ended up put up 21 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they they know what they got to do,
right?
And if they don't work as a team, and that's why all summer when they were lifting during the summer. Nolan, they went camping. They were he always calls it a brotherhood.
Yeah.
Because they all kind of grew up together. I know things are probably going to change now because a lot of the Catholic schools,
right.
or the not Catholic, but I guess not the high schools that they have like Central Catholic or things like that. They might change where they're not playing public schools, but who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I saw that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because it's starting to, when I was in Philadelphia, St. Joe's Prep. Yes. They're always the powerhouse, but it seemed like kids were coming from New Jersey, Maryland. It's like it's almost like if you're going to do that, you should be in your own conference, in my opinion.
Right? Yeah, because you are a recruiting high school. When they went, you didn't know when Nolan was a sophomore, and we went to the championship, and we were in McCannonsburg or somewhere out there. I remember a helicopter came in. It was the coach from Penn State, and I can't think of his name.
Oh, James Franklin. Yeah, he used to come.
Yeah, so he came. The school that we played, and Michael's gonna kill me because I forget the name. They came out, Casey. They looked like a college team.
Right.
They were so
big and
disciplined, strong.
Right.
I was like, Nolan's a sophomore. I'm like, what is going on? It was scary to watch. We tried, but
it's different.
They were just
it's
faster.
Different. They know they got resources and they use them. So
and it was so crazy just to watch that.
But that Peters team, you could truly you just felt them they cared for each other, and even that Whitfield championship, they were down 19-0 to or was it 18-0 to Pine 19-0 to Pine Richland. They just kept chipping away, and they just stayed in the fight and found a way, and that to me that topped off the season, and that's what we talk about in scouting, is finding that magic. We're all right, I don't care what happened, I care about you. I'm going to find a way to make this win, and that's what happened. It was awesome. It was a great way to kind of cap the Whitfield season for them.
Oh yeah, and Western PA football. Don't you think first of all, Nolan's class 2026 is talented. There's a lot of talented players all over Western PA.
Oh yeah.
So all these kids, I was like, wow, they were all a lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of good every position. I was like, oh my gosh, these teams are unbelievable. I don't know what it's going to be like in the next couple of years, but I was just like, Western PA is just unbelievable.
It's funny, the Ireland, we actually played in Ireland the first time they played Upper St. Clair, and it was 3 a.m, and our equipment guy, he's from Upper St. Clair, and me being from Peters, we were literally sitting there at the pub listening to the game at 3 a.m. their time.
Oh my God! I can't even remember what the score
was. To listen, it ended at 3 a.m. It was St. Clair was driving at the end, and they ended up turning the ball over, and Peters ended up winning that game.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember when the schedule came out, I was like, that was the one I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I'm glad they played in the playoffs because I did get to see that.
Well, who was Mount Lebanon's big rival in football when you guys played?
It was St. Clair back in the day, and it was North Allegheny. Well, my brother Andy played. They were both in the USA Today top 10. That was before like all this recruiting and stuff. So yeah, so North Allegheny had some powerhouses, and then Mike Junko was actually the head coach for St. Clair. He was the quarterback. He was the quarterback.
Yeah,
he was the quarterback for St. Clair when my brother Andy played. So.
No way.
Yeah, I remember being a little kid. I was like 4 or 5 years old. My mom we had our homemade sweatshirts, 84 Weidl, and we would go to the games and. Just as you know, Western PA football just means more.
Yes, it really does.
It's great to be back. That's why it's great to be back.
I know, and we're so let's talk about the draft. I mean, Casey, I don't even know how long did it take for I don't know if you know this, if you have this answer, but how long did it take Pittsburgh to prepare for this NFL draft?
So I think they announced it about 2.5 years ago, but I know the planning started right away, and I know that they were spending hours upon hours, every little detail, and I was in the war room, so I didn't really get a chance to go over, but on TV, it looked incredible. It looked like they did a great job. I know, the one, like little details. They had 2 Gateway Clippers going from PNC Park to the Point to bring people back and forth from the experience. Yeah, they had every little detail.
The trolley was free all weekend.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that because I was afraid to go down. I think what happened was, too, they scared us a little bit. Pittsburghers, though, we're good drivers. We can...
Right.
Yeah, we're pretty good. There's a lot of one-way... I felt bad for people coming from out of town because there's a lot of one-way streets, So people were probably like... There was a thing on TikTok, the guy goes... if you make the wrong turn, you'll end up in Ohio, if you're going through Pittsburgh. But they did such a great job.
They really did.
I mean, the stage, just looking at it and all the games they had. Yeah. I have never been to an NFL draft before. And I actually was at Iron City Brewery. I won free tickets. Yeah. So I dragged Michael with me. And watching it, I would watch it every once in a while on TV, but I was so invested this year watching it because I was like, what is this about? Like, why, who are these kids? They're all sitting in different rooms, or they could be at their house. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, it was our other brother who works for PNC Bank. He was at Peters. He went down. He said, he felt secure. Everything was security. They felt secure. He's like, it was interesting because everybody had different jerseys on, but everybody was happy and getting along with each other. There was no fights. Somebody said there was no arrests.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. That's that shows the city of Pittsburgh, it should be proud of putting stuff on like that. And they broke the attendance record. And
what was it, 800 or something?
I'll tell you what, I thought, to me, being a Western PA South Hills guy, that Eli Heinrich pick was awesome. That was just to see him come out on stage.
Oh my gosh,
that gave me chills a little bit, being in a draft room, kind of seeing that. That was awesome.
I know. I was going to say that's got to be
that was cool.
I mean, you guys. So they do the draft different places every year, right? And it always happens around April.
Yes. So it's always the last week of April. The schedule really doesn't change. It shifts a little bit, but it usually they NFL likes to put certain things on certain months so people pay attention. So
it would. I mean, when they have that music, I can't even do it, and they're like, the pick is in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, the pick is in. How exciting that is.
It's funny. People have that as their ringtone too. You hear a lot of guys have that as their ringtone.
It really brought the city together.
It's fun. And we talk about the draft. It gives teams hope. It gives all 32 teams that hope that hey, we might have found somebody, and you find somebody in the later rounds, or that's what makes the NFL great. Every year there's so much parity, and it makes it fun that you believe your team can win it every year.
Right.
I was with the Eagles in 2018. The year before, we were 7 wins, and we ended up winning the Super Bowl with Nick Foles as a backup quarterback.
Oh my gosh!
So it tells you anybody can win the Super Bowl.
Right.
So,
that was my biggest thing too. Is when was the last time the Steelers were in the Super Bowl? I can't even remember. It's been a while.
I think it's been 2010. I think we lost to the Packers.
Is that what
I
it
want
was?
to say. Okay. I gotta get back to my history.
I was like, don't ask me.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I know they won in 2009 against the Cardinals, and then they won in 2006 against the Seahawks. Those were the last 2 Super Bowls.
I feel like now with I don't know behind the scene what goes on with the Steelers, but I feel like the Steelers with the Rooney family, I feel like it's a family.
It really is.
Yeah.
You know, coming from the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles and the Steelers, you know, they all have their positives and negatives, you know, a lot of positives, but here you truly feel like family. Like Mr. Rooney's there every day. He's approachable. They're just good people.
Yes.
They get what the city means, blue collar, like hard work.
Steel town.
Yeah, that's what people care about, you know, like, you know, just, you know, they want that guy that's likable, that's, you know, has that story, that grit, that handled adversity, that come through adversity.
Right.
And, you know, because, you know, we've all done that in Western PA at some point, somewhere in our family.
Right, and
people
cares
have come
about
through
the
adversity.
players. You
Yes,
know, cares
absolutely.
about the team and everybody else that's involved with the team. I think that's, you know, nobody knows what goes, the work that you guys do. Nobody knows the work that you guys do behind the scenes. And that's another thing that should be praised. You know, you guys are working hard all year round, right?
Yeah, you know, the biggest thing for us is we want to bring somebody that people in Pittsburgh are proud about.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about all the time, you can't miss on the character of the guy. That's why we go into these schools all fall. We'll go from like August through November, end of November, and even then our background's not done. We'll go to pro days, we'll go to all that just to find out, you know, hey, at the end of the day, we want to bring in good people, good locker room people, because we're trying to build this culture.
Yes,
and culture is a big deal.
Right, the culture is a big deal because you guys. So that I was going to ask you that question. Like when we talk about the measurables, like the 40-yard dash and like the shuttle run, vertical jump. Like, I sound so smart, don't I? And then like, you know, like the film from like the non-physical traits and stuff like that. Like the characteristics you're looking for. You're looking for, you know, someone who's, you want someone fast, you want the physical aspect, but what other characteristics?
Well, it's funny you said that there's a quote we try and say, you can measure everything, but you can't measure hearts and smarts. So
I love that, Casey.
hearts
Wait,
and
say
smarts.
that again. Hearts?
You can't measure, like we talk about all the time, you can't measure a player's heart and you can't measure a player's smart.
Wow.
And, you know, certain guys have, you know, me personally as a scout, what I like to find is guys that have gone through adversity and come out better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you know what, like in life, you know, life's never gonna be perfect.
Right.
You're gonna hit bumps in the road. But the biggest thing is how you respond.
Yeah.
How do you respond in life? You know, like, you know, you get knocked down, are you gonna get back up, or are you gonna sit there and wallow in it?
Yeah.
You want guys that, you know, because everything's not gonna be perfect. You know, you're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna have things go wrong. You're gonna have, you know, example that Moon game. I think it was 2-3 turnovers. It was 10-0. It was like, I felt Peters was a better team, but just, you know, how you gonna handle it. And what they did was they rallied in the fourth quarter.
Right.
And if you don't have those certain guys that have that mental fortitude, you're not gonna find that. So
I love that, the mental fortitude.
Yeah.
That's something. Now, did you always see yourself like working for the NFL?
You know, I did. I'm an accounting major, so I thought I was going to get more into accounting. You know, which I actually got my MBA at IUP, and you know, I have that as my backup, but hopefully I never have to use that.
Right.
So, but I did. You know, I wanted to, and just like I said, when I worked in Indiana, I realized how much I love doing this job. So.
Yes.
And I love being around football, and it's just like I wake up every morning, I'm excited to go to work.
Yeah.
Like I'm truly, and like that's what I tell. I'm like do something you love. Like it's just like I feel like I don't work. I work a lot of hours. You know, probably in the month of April it was crazy. Just all the draft meetings.
I know, and I
all
was
the
trying
preparation.
to meet. I felt so bad because I was trying to meet with Casey, and I'm like, why? I can't bother the guy. This is like the biggest time of the year for them, you know, to do the NFL draft and everything. I'm sorry I even bothered.
It was
you
fun.
guys.
It was, you know, we're lucky. We think we had a really good draft, and we're excited about the guys we're bringing in. So
yes, this is you know, we are a football town, Pittsburgh, but we are also, I mean, like. The Pirates are doing well.
Right.
The Penguins were in the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, we are just, that's what we're about. You know?
Right.
And I think that I saw a lot of people talking about how nice we are. You know, we're like Pittsburgh people, you can approach them, like you said.
Absolutely.
We are a family here, and nobody talks bad about our, you know, nobody talks about, it's funny because with Nolan being at Villanova, they're all Eagles fans. You know?
Yeah.
So when he was watching the draft, you know, he had a Steelers shirt on, and they were like, boo, you know, booing him because Eagles, I don't know, they're our biggest rival. or is it the Patriots?
I think it's just I think it's in state. I think it changes. I think Baltimore probably is right now, but it changes. When Tom Brady was there, it definitely was because Big Ben and I just remember being a kid watching those Big Ben, Tom Brady battles. They were awesome.
Oh, yeah. See, when I was a kid, it was Terry Bradshaw and Frank O'Hara.
Yep.
I'm so much older than you, Case. So, Case, tell us now, you have girls. Are you going to get them in, like, flag football?
I'm gonna let them do what they want. Yeah. It's funny because they're so close in age. They're all 2 years apart from each other. They're 6, 4, and the little one's about to turn 2.
Oh,
that they play almost like they roughhouse like boys almost. So
I've seen them.
They're we got to find a way to get rid of their energy somehow. So. I know they've been picking up lacrosse sticks lately, but we'll see where they go.
Oh, yeah, no, they better not be using them around the driveway. Your wife will be like...
But it's funny because, like, they recognize, like, and it's funny because, like, I think the 6-year-old's starting to realize how big the Steelers brand is.
Yes.
Because she'll see it, like, on a park car. She's like, Daddy, Steelers, Steelers. So, like, they're starting to realize, like, and I'm just, I'm trying to teach them the pride of Pittsburgh and, like, what that logo means.
Yes.
And just...
Oh, they're going to do something.
It's great.
One of them or all of them are going to do something in sports. I just know it because, being around you guys and your whole family too.
Right.
Well, now flag football is really
I know, that's really cool.
coming about now.
It seems like a lot of places are doing are starting to do sponsored,
Yes.
I think we're trying to back, I don't know what the Steelers are, but I know we back that a lot. I don't know if it's a WPIAL sport or they're trying to make it, but I've seen a lot of people, like I saw the Giants and the Eagles are now working in New Jersey to try and make girls flag football, but it's for everybody. That's what makes it fun. It's just
because
it's really cool
to see girls play. I mean, so I don't know if was there ever a woman in the NFL?
No, not yet.
No, okay, not yet. Hey, so I like that case.
You never know.
You never know.
Because I know when I was with the Eagles, we had the how am I forgetting her name? We had one of the kickers or one of the U.S. Women's Cup. Come over and kick for us. How am I forgetting her name? But she was kicking field goals for us, like just to see, like, hey, could this work?
Oh my god!
So,
and she was really good?
She was actually pretty good. She was.
Wow.
She had to work a little bit, but like her leg, you couldn't deny her leg power.
Wow.
She was crushing because that's when Zach Ertz was with us and Julie Ertz would come.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. But
It'll come to you.
Yeah, she was coming to practices and just booming the ball. We're like. It's crazy.
I really, that's what
cool.
That's what I love about sports now because women are they're doing everything now. You can't stop us.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I understand your little ones are going to be powerhouses, and I watch them at church, and they are so adorable.
Oh, yeah.
You and your wife, like right now, it's hectic when they're at it because I remember my kids were like that. Although Nolan and Jake were 4 years apart, so it was like 6'4", and Nolan was a baby, and the boys were wrestling all the time. They still do. They still do. But and my daughter would sit there and read a book like she was always like the goody two shoe ones, but I mean watching your girls, they're beautiful and. Your family is wonderful.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have one last question for you. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you'd like to let the audience know?
No, just I'm just I'm just happy to be back at Pitt. To me, with NFL traveling a lot, I'm just happy to be back at Pittsburgh. Yeah. It's like to me, working for the Steelers, growing up as a Steelers fan, it means more.
Oh,
so we're me and my brother is the assistant GM, and we talk about it all the time. Like it's the pride of the logo. It's the pride to bring it back and to get back to winning and. We feel like we're on the right track.
So absolutely.
It's exciting.
Here we go, Steelers.
Times.
So my last question is for you. For young people who dream of working in an NFL, or maybe not as a player, but behind the scenes, what advice would you give them?
My thing is, my biggest advice is from doing this is get involved. Whatever that may be, get involved. A lot of people do the sports science degrees. I get it. That's good and all, but get involved. Like I was a student manager. I knew I wasn't going to play, so I was a student manager. They paid for I was a half scholarship my first couple years, and I was full scholarship out of state Indiana. My last 2 years, and just get involved, and because people see that real life work experience, and it's funny because when I was at Indiana, my first student manager job was Matt Canada was the offensive coordinator for Indiana. When I came to the Steelers, Matt Canada was the offensive coordinator for the Steelers.
No way.
And you network, you make all those connections, and real life networking is you just never know. And I just say always be a good person, because you never know who you're gonna need, and it's just the right thing to do. You know, you just always treat people the same. Like I treat our general manager the same as I treat our janitor. Like to me, they're good people. It's just, you know, they're all part of this. Like for our organization, it matters. Everybody matters, no matter where you are in the organization.
I love that, Casey. Everybody matters.
Everybody
Oh my gosh.
matters. It matters. It does.
I love that. You know, it's funny because, you know, Casey and I know each other, but not like, you know, how the guys know you because they talk about sports all the time.
Yeah.
But sitting here with you, you know, you're just so humble and you have such a kind spirit about you, you know.
Appreciate
no
that.
wonder God gave you these beautiful girls to raise, because you were just such a nice and kind person.
I appreciate it. It's just, you know, like I said, I'm blessed to do what I do.
Yes.
It's I never take it for granted. I just sit there and I'm like, man, I can't believe, like, I pinch myself sometimes. I can't believe they pay me for doing this, for watching football.
For doing what you love.
Right. I remember I went to, because I'm an Indiana alum, and I went up to the Penn State game this year, and, you know, I had to scout, and Indiana made that last second catch in the back of the end zone, and I'm like, I can't believe I got paid to come watch this game today. Like, I can't believe they paid me to come watch this game.
I know, right?
So,
you're like, this is the best job ever.
Yeah, I was very lucky, and it's just, like I said, I love to spread that to others. You know, it's just, you know, if I can help out anyway, I always try and look back and give a hand. You know, anybody wants to reach out, like, I love talking just about my story, just kind of how I got in, and just, you know, everybody's got a different path. That's why I tell people too. Everybody's got a different path. You know, I started in video for the Buffalo Bills. You know, Noah, and then Doug Whaley, who's actually from Upper St. Clair, he brought me over to do the team travel for the Bills. So that's kind of how I got into personnel. So. Oh
wow!
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you got into it. It is. You're right. Everybody's journey, but you got to do what you love, and that's why, like, you know, what I do with the podcasting is my passion. Like like I said, I sit here and I get to know people that are from Pittsburgh. A lot of, you know, I do have people from other states, but, you know, lately I've been really focusing on my Pittsburgh people, and I'm just you know, honored and grateful that I even have people talking to me about about who they are and what they do and what they love to do.
Absolutely. It's just, I appreciate you having me on. It's great.
Fun.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. And you know what I've learned too about the difference? Now, this might not be all women and men, but I don't remember things like you and my husband do about games. Like, they'll remember games from, like, you know, back in 2000, like, I remember the one kid was, you know.
Oh, it's funny. Every time I talk to her husband, I feel like we just go, because it goes from, like, we'll talk about a high school game, then all of a sudden we're talking about a college game, then we're talking about, hey, do you remember that catch? You know, you remember when Jim Harbaugh threw that pass in the '94 AFC Championship where it was just dropped? Yeah, I couldn't believe that. You know, it was actually on the sideline. Then it gets into, you know, it's just, you know.
I know, and that's what I've really...
love talking sports.
I know, when you're talking sports, I pretend I understand everything that's going on, but I'll get there. I'll get there. Being a sports mom, a football mom, you know, I'm just loving it. My other son loves baseball. You know, he likes to coach, and he's getting his thing. You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, I just love that. I just want my kids, and I'm sure you want this for your girls too. Do what you want to do. Do your passion.
Right.
Yeah, you do want to make money, but you don't want to wake up every day. I just had a guy on last week, which he'll be on again, and he talked about how he just did not like his job, you know, and he didn't realize that was what was not getting him out of bed. He didn't know what was going on.
Well, it was funny. I remember telling my dad when I left IUP as a grad assistant for the football team, I got offered $65,000 to work for KPMG, an accounting firm downtown. And then I got offered $7.15 per hour to work for the Buffalo Bills. I was 24 years old, and I said, Dad, I'm taking a risk on myself. I'm betting on myself. And sure enough, 15 years later, here I am.
Hey,
so
you got to start, you know, a lot of maybe kids get out of school and they get a great job, but I started from the bottom. I mean, I was on that AM radio station in QED. I worked at QED. I was working my way up the ladder, you know, and that's what awesome. You have to do.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn to grow and to realize, like you said, every job matters in an organization. And I'm just, thank you so much for being here
absolutely.
today.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
This was another episode of Spill With Me, Jenny D. Take care.
Come spill with me.